The Saturday and Sunday games for week 7 of Super Rugby. We have 4 games lined up on Saturday. It is the Blues and the Lions, the Sunwolves versus the Crusaders, the Reds versus the Bulls, and the Sharks versus the Stormers. On Sunday, there are 2 games, the Jaguares versus the Highlanders. The first game that aren't going to have any spectators due to the coronavirus, and then the Brumbies versus the Waratahs. Which one of these games stand out the most to you? Which one can't you wait for? Leave a comment down below to tell me. I think the one standing out for me is the Sharks versus the Stormers. The first one is in Auckland this weekend. It's New Zealand number 3, the Blues, versus the Lions, who are last in South Africa at the moment. The Blues are favourites to win this one on their record. 4 out of 6. They have won 3 in a row now, all on the road, versus the Bulls, the Stormers, and the Hurricanes. The Lions, they haven't won since week 2 versus the Reds in Johannesburg. So 3 losses in a row for them. They aren't in the best of forms. Going into the history of the two sides, 7 of the 10 last games the two teams have played went the Blues' favour. The Lions last won in Auckland in 2015. Looking closer at the teams, the Lions made a bunch of changes to their side. Green comes into fullback, moving to fullback with Kutsia dropping to the bench. Ulengo moves from left wing to right wing to make space for Skosan coming in. At number 8, Diamane comes in, and you can look for him to carry the ball a bit forward, catch some breaks and run the ball. He is a 7th player after all. And the other big change in the side for the Lions is Alberts moving to number 4 from the flanker position. We haven't seen him playing there in a couple of years. The Blues, they rested a couple of big names. It's still a quality side, but do you think they're resting their big names because the Lions are a low-lying side? Duffy comes in at wing. Fayane is captaining the side this weekend with Tuipulotu being out. So Tutu comes back at number 8 with Ioane back on the bench. It's just a big battle between these big number 8s. Ioane was always the big guy that always had to push for All Black spot that just could not get it. But Tutu looks like he's pushing for it even harder now. Front row, there's also a few changes there. The benches for these two sides are both important because both sides love running with the ball, so the guys get tired quite quickly. The Blues one does look a little bit better than the Lions bench. The Blues' season has been good so far. They are back at home now, so hopefully they can continue with that. Hopefully they don't just win everything away from home again. The Lions, they will be desperate for a win, but I still don't think they'll get it right. The Blues by 9. The next game for the weekend, the Sunwolves host the Crusaders in Brisbane. Remember, the Sunwolves games have been moved due to the coronavirus in Japan and Singapore and all those places. So they are playing in Australia, some of their home games now. The Sunwolves only 1 game so far they have won, and that was in week 1. They have had 4 straight blowouts so far. They lost by 26, lost by 59, lost by 47, lost by 33. Now it's the Crusaders, probably one of the teams that could do even better than the previous sides. The Crusaders, they have won 4 out of 5. They slipped up against the Chiefs in week 2. But further than that, they were pretty good. Last weekend was a close one again for them. Just narrowly beating the Reds by 4 points. If the Reds converted all their kicks, or most of their kicks rather, they would have won that game. These two teams have only played twice in history, and both of those have went to the Crusaders. If we look at the two teams, the Crusaders coach have rested some of his best All Black players. Taylor, Moody, Barrett, Mahunga, and Goodhue is rested for this game. So it's more or less a second team, if you can call a Crusaders team a second team ever. But the biggest names still in this team, the biggest changes for this week, Enoch comes back from his rest week. Cameron is at number 10. Does that mean he's going to take over the kicking duties? I don't know how many kickers the Crusaders have had this season so far. I think it's probably like 4. I remember Drummond has kicked, Bryn Hall has kicked, Mahunga has kicked, Havili has kicked. If Cameron also kicks, it's their 5th guy kicking at goal this weekend. Hall comes in as captain this weekend. Grace is at number 8, and then the whole new front row for their side. The Sunwolves actually made less changes than you would expect from them. Dargaville at 15. Fafita moving from 13 to 14. I can't wait for that Fainga Anuku versus Fafita matchup is two massive wingers out there, and then Moria comes in as co-captain. Both teams have made a bit of movement on the bench. The Crusaders, they have some new faces. Roach gonna make his debut for the side. Previously he has played for the Waratahs and the Rebels. The Sunwolves haven't done much this season. They haven't done much right. It doesn't look like they're going to change it soon. So I think it's going to be a blowout again. I think the Crusaders will win by 39. The next game, the Bulls start their tour off against the Reds. Both teams not the best of season so far. The Bulls 1 out of 5, the Reds 1 out of 6. But the Reds have looked a little bit more promising than the Bulls. They've had 4 losses that have been very close. Just if they could get a better goal kicker, they would have done a lot better, especially against the Crusaders last weekend. They would have won the game if they got converted most of their kicks. They just lost by 4 points. The Bulls, their first win of the season came last weekend against the Highlanders. A pretty big margin though, but that was the only thing that happened for them so far. The history between the two sides, it is 50-50. The home team usually wins. The Bulls haven't won in Queensland since 2004. The Bulls, they made minimal changes to their side. Only captain Woodendal comes into the side for Kotze, who moves out to number 13. They are sticking with Lebokang Papier at the 9-10 combo, who really got the job done last weekend. It was against the Highlanders though. They haven't been great, but it is better than what we've seen previously from Mornestein and Van Sale. The Reds, they made a couple of changes with some mixed emotions for them. From the injury front, James O'Connor, he's back from his injury at number 10. But Hunter Paisami, he's also injured. And that's their second big blow at number 13. First, it was Pataya, and now it is Paisami. So now, Fayoe Satia moves into number 13 from the wing. And Hegarty moves to the wing. Yeah, that would really improve their battle on the goal kicking front. He is a better goal kicker, even though he missed his goal kick last weekend when he came on. But when he's going to have a foot race against Speckman, he's not going to catch him at all. Speckman is bloody fast. Blythe, he is at number 4. Salakai Lotto moves to number 6. And then the loose forward battle, I think, is going to be a big one in this side. Especially with Wilson, Wright, and Salakai Lotto of the Reds. That's big names. Look out for Wilson. He is a future star. The Bulls, they are on a high since last weekend, but it is their first game on tour this weekend without having a off week. And then the Reds, they are also on a bit of a high. Even though they lost last weekend, it was by a bonus point to the mighty Crusaders. The Reds' bench also looks like it can do it for them. The Bulls' bench hasn't really performed that well so far. I think the Reds could win by 11 points. Then it is the big South African derby on Saturday. The Sharks versus the Stormers. It is the top 2 South African sides going up against each other. And it's going to be a big one. The Sharks have played one more game than the Stormers, having won 5 out of 6 games so far. They lost in round 3 to the Hurricanes on the road. But from there, they've just won everything on the road, in New Zealand, in Australia, everything. And at home, they've won 2 out of 2. The Stormers, 4 out of 5. They lost to the Blues in Cape Town just before their bye weekend last weekend. So they need to bounce back because they've basically went 2 weeks now in a row without getting any points. History 6 out of 10 goes to the Sharks. Last year, both away teams won their respective games. March 2019 in Durban, the Sharks lost to the Stormers 11-16. Looking closer at the teams, the Sharks, they made absolutely no changes at all. They still have 9 Springboks in that team. It is a very strong team. The Stormers, they ringed the changes for their side. They look like a team that is hurting a bit after their first loss of the season. Hopefully it's not too many changes for them. The biggest one, Willemse moving to fullback. Jean-Luc du Plessis going into number 10. Willemse, he has not performed well at number 10 so far. It's harsh to judge him, but yeah, it's time to try something different. But I've never been a fan of Jean-Luc du Plessis. I don't like how he plays. He passes some intercept passes. He kicks weirdly. He gives kicks out on the full all the time. So yeah, hopefully he has improved. The few games that he has come on from the bench. He looked better than last year and the previous year, so maybe he is better than previously. Johan de Toey, he comes in for his brother who is injured. Arends van Ryn, he is at number 6, and then Murat and Malherbe also gets a start this weekend. This game could be interesting with the Stormers knowing exactly what to expect from the Sharks, with the Sharks not making any change to their sides. I think the kicking game that the Sharks play is going to be a little bit more compromised now, with Willemse being at fullback instead of Lades. Willemse does have a big boot on him if he uses it right. But he can still run it back and step anyone in front of him. The scrums will be a tough battle again. Both teams have Springbok props in their side, so you won't win too much there. The defense and the energy will be key in this game. The Stormers' defense is a little bit better than the Sharks. The Sharks have given away a lot of tackles and a lot of penalties. The Sharks' discipline is not the best at the moment. But the Stormers last weekend lacked a lot of energy, so you can see what you can do to them if you also front up with a strong performance. The goal kicking is also important. John Luke is a little bit better with goal kicking. It's just going to depend on who is going to take over the kicking reins from the Stormers. And then Bosch, he's been in excellent form with the boot. The benches, they are pretty even, with the Stormers doing a 5-3 split this weekend, with Pretorius getting a shot from the bench this weekend, and then the Sharks made no changes there either. It's going to be a close game, but I'm backing the Sharks to win by 2 points. The first game on Sunday, the Jaguares versus the Highlanders, will be played without any spectator inside due to the coronavirus. It is the first game being affected like that in the Super Rugby. The Jaguares 3 from 6 this season. Not the best season so far, but if you look at their record, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. So last weekend a loss, it's probably going to be a win this weekend again if you go by that logic. The Highlanders 1 from 5, and that one that they actually did beat the Brumbies was by 1 point. And I still say it's a lucky one. That one, I do go on about it every week, but it really hurt my Superbru. Last weekend, they lost by 25 points to the Bulls, and they didn't look promising whatsoever. The history, both games have been won by the Highlanders. Even in 2019, when the Jaguares was that strong, the Highlanders won by 5 points. The Highlanders, they made a few changes to their side. Josh Ioane going to number 15 this weekend instead of number 12. Walden comes into number 12. Tompkinson and Fainga Anuku comes in on the 2 wingers. And then Aaron Smith is also rested, with Hamilton coming in. Dixon, he is at number 4, and then the other Dixon is at number 2 with Leonard Brown in the front row. The Jaguares, as always, made a couple of changes to their side. You know they always change their side up a lot to rest as much players as possible. Malia in at fullback with Tukelet that played last weekend. Cancelliere in for Buffeli. Miotti back at number 10. I like how the team does play with Miotti when he is at number 10. Just they have a real big attacking threat. Instead of Bonilla, who does like kicking the ball a lot, the kicking game is on point though when he does play. Escura, he is at number 9. Bruni, he is not picked this weekend. He has been immense. He's been in my dream teams a couple of times so far. Gorison, he's at number 6, then Paulos at number 5, and then 2 changes in the front row in the form of Krivi in for Socino, who is suspended, and Sordoni in the prop. The Jaguares team is much stronger when you look at it. They are playing at home as well. The bench also looks more up for it than the Highlanders one. I can't see the Highlanders winning this one. I think the Jaguares will win by 8 points. The second game on Sunday, and also the last one for the weekend, is the Brumbies versus the Waratahs. If we look at the standings, you can see a massive difference between the two sides so far in their seasons. The Brumbies 4 out of 5 so far. They lost to the Highlanders in week 3. They should have won that one. Then last weekend they beat the Sunwolves by 33 points. The Waratahs 1 out of 5 so far. They beat the Lions 2 weeks ago. And all the rest of them they have lost so far. The history, 6 out of 10 going to the Brumbies side. The Waratahs lost 1 in 2018. Looking closer at the teams, the Brumbies made a couple of changes, with Muriad coming in at number 11, Powell back at number 9. Lenorgan did pretty well at number 9 last weekend, and then Slipper is back at the prop. He signed on this week with Australian Rugby till 2022. I can't wait for this game to see Lolesio versus Harrison, the 2 future Wallaby number 10s. Both of them have been impressive, and both of them have done their own thing, so it's going to be good for me to see that. The fullbacks are going to be important with Beale versus Banks, two Wallabies again, and it's crucial for both sides for them to play really well. The battle of the front rows will also be a good one, but my prediction for this one will be the Brumbies by 12 points. Guys, let me know your prediction for all the games down in the comments below. Let me know which one is going to be your favorite one or the game you are looking out for this weekend. Also, check out any of these videos popping up next to me, and then I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.